Hi all, welcome back to our channel Literary World. So in this video we are going to deal with two things. One is post-colonial literature and another one is post-colonial literature's model question paper. So it is necessary to your coming examinations. So post-colonial literature is one of the core papers in Calicut University MA English Literature syllabus. So before you moving to post-colonial works, you have to make a thorough knowledge about post-colonialism. You have to know what is post-colonialism, what are the peculiarities of post-colonialism, and why and how this term emerged in literary world, and we have to know something about what is the speciality of or what is the purpose of post-colonial literature. So first of all we are going to deal with post-colonialism. After that we will discuss the question paper. Okay, so post-colonialism. And one more thing, this class will be in English. And when you hear this class, please try to take down your lecture notes, okay? Then post-colonialism. Post-colonialism is a theory which emerged as the reaction to the domination of the world by European colonizers and the universalist claims of the Enlightenment. For 400 years or more, European colonization directly or indirectly dominated the continents of Asia, Africa, Australia, and South Africa, and judged every cultural codification, especially in literature, arts, music, food, habits, learning, language, mythologies, etc. So, European colonizers dominated these things from the standard European perspective. Okay, according to imperialism, or accordingly imperialism assumed the role of a modernizing tool, and the white European way became the standard to evaluate those of the other. The term other is important. Then, what does the prefix post mean in post-colonial? In the term or in the word post-colonial, we can see a prefix that post, and what it means. Okay, it refer the period after colonialism. Okay, and the term post-colonial cannot be seen as a monolithic one. In its application, it includes primarily the interactions of power between a vast number of nations and cultures in Africa, Asia, and the Caribbean in the context of decolonization and after. Though post-colonialism as a tool of theory evolved only in the 1990s with the reassessment of colonialism and imperialism, its roots can be traced to the days of decolonization project. Okay, then Franz Fanon's The Wretched of the Earth, that was published in 1963. Okay, The Wretched of the Earth is a work written by Franz Fanon, one of the most prominent and celebrated post-colonial theorists. And his another work, Black Skin and White Mask, that was published in 1967. So these two works discussed the psychology of colonialism, dealing with the formation of the self in the colonized as different from that of colonizer. There were many post-colonial theorists like Franz Fanon, like Benedict Anderson, then Homi J. Bhabha, Gayatri Spivak, then Edward Said coined the term Orientalism, and their theories were extremely against the colonial power, and even now their theories are have been mostly celebrating in the literary world. Then, postcolonial theory is centrally concerned with examining the mechanisms through which the colonizing powers persuaded the colonized people to accept a foreign culture as better than their own original methods of government and social organization. So, colonial powers always had been tried to degrade our original culture or native culture, and they always consider the native people as uncultured or uncivilized. And the colonial powers proclaimed themselves that they are the civilized people and their duty is civilized others. The term other put in inverted comma. So others, and they began to invade or they began to colonize the native places or the native countries as the part of their or their civilization. Okay, civilization also put in inverted comma. Then let's see what are the important terms to be noted under post-colonialism. There are several terms to know under the post-colonial theory. Okay, the first one is subaltern. The term subaltern taken from the colonial military context meaning a non-white soldier or inferior rank which is used in post-colonial theory to denote a member of the colonized population. Okay, the term refers to a non-white soldier in who stand in a inferior rank. Okay, and Gayatri Spivak uses the term to specifically to refer to the lowest layers of a colonial or post-colonial society. And the truth is that these subaltern population are voiceless. And this subaltern population includes the homeless people, then the day laborers, the unemployed people, then they are the subaltern people, and they are voiceless and invisible in both colonial and post-colonial cultures. Then, Can the Subaltern Speak is an article written by Gayatri Spivak that was published in 1988. In that article, she portrays the real condition of subaltern under the colonial period or colonial domination. Then the next term is hybridity. Hybridity is the okay. In the postmodern sense, a hybrid is any phenomenon that mixes elements from the two distinct tradition or practices. Okay, hybridity means the mix up of a two different tradition or practices. Then hybridity often comes up in post-colonial theory as a way to describe emerging forms of identity and status that arise in the post-colonial and postmodern world. Then Homike Baba discusses the hybridity as the place between two conflicting cultures or moment when identities are destabilized and deconstructed. Okay, hybridity means the mix up of two culture or two practices, two values. So when the colonial period there were happen these hybrid cultures, the mix up of Western and Eastern culture. Then next term is Orientalism. So Orientalism, the term coined by first introduced by Edward Said, and as described by the post-colonial theorist Edward Said, Orientalism can be defined as the process of making something or someone Oriental. And the term Orient means it is somewhat related to or it is closely related to Eastern. Then Western European explorers went to a place they called the Orient. Then and wrote descriptions and understood the Orient as something other than their own country and civilization. And most Western philosophers and Western critics had been tried to degrade our or Eastern culture or Orient culture and throughout their works and throughout their literature. Actually, these Western people constructed the concept of East. Okay. In Orientalism is a work by Edward Said. In that work, Said provides a critical analysis of the Western construction of Oriental. And in his another work, Culture and Imperialism, that was published in 1993, in that work he argues that the construction of African or Indian identity in the novelistic works of Jane Austen and Joseph Conrad can be read as being concerned in the domination of a colonial forms of power. Then the next term is ambivalence. The term first developed in the psychoanalysis to describe a continual fluctuation between wanting one thing and wanting its opposite. Okay, and it is also refers to a simultaneous attraction towards a repulsion from an object, person, or action. Then Homike Baba, one of the important theorists of ambivalence, then it describes the complex mix of attraction and repulsion that characterizes the relationship between colonizer and colonized. Then the relationship between colonizer and colonized is ambivalent because the colonized subject is never simply and completely opposed to the colonizer. And in short, the ambivalence is an ambiguous way. Okay, it's a confused way in which colonized and colonizer regard one another. Okay, colonizers often regard colonizers as both privileged yet unethical. So these are some of the major terms that we have to know under the post-colonial literature. There are several terms like binarism, post-colonial allegory, then identity, like that. But these terms are enough to learn post-colonial literature. Anyway, if you need further terms and further details, you can just go through Google or and there are several materials available based on this topic. Now I am going to stop the discussion about post-colonialism. Let's move to the question paper discussion. So the discussion video will be uploaded as the second part of this video. Okay, then we will see in the next video.